after this. I had a very lengthy conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very lengthy conversation with my sister, and she wants to make some plans for the family, and we're just going to enjoy ourselves. So, with that being said, let's get started so we could go out.
Okay, let's go. I agree with you. I agree with you. And the weather is just
Mhm.
perfect for all of this.
Yes, no rain, just overcast and windy.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Hmm.
It's wonderful.
Yes,
Good morning.
yes.
And how are you? He going quiet. He's not here. He's not at his station. Okay, let's
Not as yet,
Sorry,
but
who
he'll be
that
there.
is?
you. I know you were
No,
on. Would
I
you
was on. I was hearing you all talking. While y'all was talking,
just making your breakfast?
would have notified persons about starting the recording.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Elkin.
No
Yeah,
problem.
he's yeah,
Mrs. Archer Elkin has been Elkin is a godsend.
yeah, he is. He's on top of things.
Yeah, very nice person.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, let's help him find a good job.
Yes,
People don't harass him.
yes.
Because
Evening, thank you.
everybody is not the same, and so I don't understand
Mhm.
why people keep measuring everybody with the same stick.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so he needs a very good job working with good people that he could.
Yes.
Yes.
He has the potential. He could study, which means he could apply himself, and
Mm-hmm.
like the box you in on a job instead of challenging you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
Yes, indeed.
you. I see that he has. He's not dumb,
No, not at all.
not lazy.
Not at
He's
all.
eager to learn, but people let
Yes.
you in, and then they take your his disposition. You can see how he is. He's friendly. He is open,
Yeah.
willing to assist, and people take that the wrong way.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And
Yeah.
I'm also trying to assist him as I continue to, assist myself in other ways. And he and I, we piggyback off each other. We send each other opportunities.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right, right. And so I also send him, I also send Elkin opportunities as I see it, as it
Yeah.
comes to me. Yes.
He needs it.
Even positions that I may apply for, I
Yeah,
still send it because, that's all about networking and not being selfish
Exactly. Because
and
when
keeping, because you have some persons, they just wanna, if they see a position out there, they just want to keep it close to their chest.
mm-hmm,
And I think sometimes that is so disheartening,
yeah.
because I always have this thing that whatever God has for you, you will get it.
If
Whatever is meant for you, you will get it, no matter if you share it with 100%. If
it's
that
for you, you
particular for you, you will get it. And that's how I live my life. So Elton is a very wonderful person.
yeah.
Hmm.
You always
Yes.
if I need him, yes. If I need him, yes. so
Yes. So
yeah.
I see Miguel has logged on, so let me be quiet.
Oh, he has.
Yeah, yeah. I hear these praises you're singing, the Elkin. That's okay.
Anyway, let me mute and be quiet. Okay, I finished.
Let's go. All right. So from last class, remember I told you today we're gonna talk about private trust companies, purpose trust, charitable trust, um, the Bahamas executive entities, and then foundations. So, as a part of all of this, what we've covered so far from Trust One, which was all on just the law of trust, like I reminded you all last class, all on the duties of trustees, all on the rights of the beneficiaries. We now move into the products that the Bahamas has around this whole trust business, the structuring of it. So when a settlor comes in or person comes in to be a settlor of a trust, he has options. And the options is based upon what he is seeking to achieve. So let's look at a private trust company. So a private trust company is a company that is regulated by the central bank. It has its own legislation, private trust companies regulations. And a private trust company is different from establishing a trust itself. What it is that the owners of the assets are all family. They manage the trust. So when you look at a PTC is structured managing their own assets, and then we have a registered representative. So the PTC will act as the trustee of those assets. And remember, they're all family members. And what they have is a person who will actually give them advice on their trust. So that's the difference between them going to a trust company and establishing a trust and having that trust company manage that trust. They actually do it themselves. So the registered representative acts as a secretary to that PTC. They can act as a director. They can act as an agent to the private trust company. And the only purpose of this registered representative is to make sure that whatever the PTC does is actually legal. So we do have a lot of, not many, but we do have PTCs, which would have been a spillover from restricted trusts in the earlier days. So you used to have very small trust companies that say they were only managing 5 trusts or 3 trusts. Most of those were family trusts. And so some of them have spun off into PTCs. And then they have the registered representatives. So from a due diligence perspective, the registered representative now, who's responsible for all of the due diligence of the PTC and making sure that they comply, must have a minimum capital of 50,000. And of course, they form a company. They have to make sure that they get all the constitutive documents, verify the records for the settlor, and make sure that all the designated persons are there in order to manage that trust. Now, the PTC also has someone called a special director. And that special director is the person who has that expertise similar to a trustee. So they either have experience in trust administration, in law, could be accounting, it could be investments, it could be finance. So PTCs or even accounting, well, accountants, but they could be accountants too. Depends on the nature of the trust itself. So, like I said, they operate under the Banks and Trust Companies, PTC regulations, and they are more or less restricted from carrying out any other business. So they can only act as the trustee to a trust or group of trusts. They are not allowed to solicit trust business because, of course, it's just a family trust. And they can't amend their memos and arts. So when they establish a PTC, the PTC is used to hold the shares of the underlying companies. Because remember now, the products that we actually provide to clients who come to the Bahamas for wealth preservation or generation of wealth, everything is done in a structure. So a PTC will hold the shares of the companies that underline that actual PTC. So the professional trustee will provide administrative services to the PTC. That's the special director. And the cost, the complexity of including the PTCs as shareholders of the underlying companies may be two considerations that should be addressed when you're actually structuring that vehicle for wealth management. So simply, that's what PTCs are. So normally, a company that has a license for financial corporate services, they would actually maintain the records for the PTC. So that'll be all of the KYC, all the memo and arts, they will hold all those documents. But remember now, the key role in this whole PTC arrangement, where the assets are managed by the family themselves, is the registered representative. So some FCSPs also have that license to be a registered representative. In some instances, the FCSPs have a license to be registered representatives of the PTCs. So that carved out another niche in the market for Bahamians who wanted to create more products and more services to the wealthy persons who come to the Bahamas. Any questions on PTCs?
It seems straightforward.
Okay. Yeah, it's very simple. Now, the next product that we offer is the Purpose Trust. So the Purpose Trust is for individuals and non-charitable purposes. So the Purpose Trust, again, is another product that we offer as a part of this whole wealth management. So you could use it for estate planning. You could use it for commercial reasons. You could use it for philanthropic enterprises. And you could use it for wealth management. Because like it says, it's a purpose trust. So it's for a particular purpose. So those trusts could hold the shares of a private trust company. So you see how the structure builds? So you could move up using each one of these products. And so it says that the trust could hold shares of a PTC, particularly where the settlor, his family, the protector, his advisors, are appointed directors of the PTC. And they manage the trust through the complex structure. Because remember now, very wealthy people have a lot of companies all around the world. And so they will want a structure that will actually, in the end, be able, one, to generate the wealth for their future family, assist them while they are still living, and they also have another key component that they always look at, which is one of the reasons why they come to jurisdictions like the Bahamas. What do you think that is? Is it just for the, is it just
That's for higher what it is, higher ship, sportsmanship.
for
Hold on.
no,
Fourth airship.
Yes.
no.
No.
That's one reason, but more than that.
Well,
No
I would say
taxes.
Yeah, he got it. What it is?
No taxes.
Taxes, exactly. Taxation is key. Taxation is key. Remember, I mentioned that to you all last class. No inheritance.
You did.
There, no estate tax. Depends on what it is. They don't pay no VAT. It's a lot. And so that what makes us so attractive, in addition to other things. So the Purpose Trust could be used if you're purchasing assets. You could use it because then it would provide security to the lender for financing the purchase. It could be used to separate voting rights from financial management and control in a particular entity. So you see how flexible this Purpose Trust is. And the trust could be used to facilitate asset financing or for social benefits. And remember now, all of this falls under the Authorized Purpose Trust Act. So one of the disadvantages is that it is prohibited by statute from holding land or any interest in land, but it is permitted to lease office premises in the Bahamas. So once under the act, an authorized purpose trust may also have an undetermined date for termination. So that means that the trust allows any amendments to the trust that allow Bahamian Trust to create an authorized purpose trust of the capital or income of trust property, which may have a fixed or discretionary interest, or a part fixed, part discretionary interest. The capital or income of authorized trusts may be disbursed for non-charitable or philanthropic purposes. And this philanthropic purpose is one of the key drivers that the Bahamian companies use to attract persons to actually establish purpose trusts in the Bahamas. It could be to any number of persons beneficially or to persons charitable or non-charitable. So it should be noted that an authorized purpose trust may not hold property. Like I just said, they can only lease premises. So only a licensed bank and trust company or a licensed financial corporate service provider can act as trustee of an authorized purpose trust. So you see how the Bahamas has designed the products. The products are created, but they're not isolated. You either have a bank or trust company, or you have an FCSP. There are no beneficiaries to an authorized purpose trust. What you actually have is what they call authorized applicants. And that authorized applicant can be any person appointed under the trust instrument. The settlor of an authorized purpose trust, or it could be a court-appointed authorized applicant. And that court-appointed is normally a person who has an interest in advancing the purpose of the authorized purpose trust. So the authorized applicant who has been appointed under the trust instrument and has certain powers and duties, they can make an application to the court regarding matters involving either the allocation of capital and income to the various purposes of the trust, or application dealing with the administration of the trust, or they could go to the court for advice or directions on specific issues. Just listening to what a court-appointed authorized applicant can do, what position comes to mind? As an
repeat the question. Repeat the question.
As a court-appointed authorized applicant, I just stated all the things that they can do. They have certain powers and duties. They can make application to the court regarding matters of capital and income.
That sounds like a protector.
You sure? They could raise things dealing with the administration of the trust. They could go to the court for advice and directions on specific issues.
It sounds like a trustee.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they just changed the name.
Yeah.
You see?
Okay.
Now you say,
as you were reading, I was wondering, well, this sounds like, the first one from what I caught, because I came in on the tail end of the PTC, I was like, well, what would make people want to do, have trustee services if you could just do certain things yourself? But I like that we have to be administered by
an authorized applicant.
Authorized, yeah.
And then for the PTC, you need to have a special director.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is good that they put these things in, because, they'll just come in and do their own thing.
Open up shop.
Yes. And it was also to open the market. So don't forget now, this whole trust business or this whole fiduciary business is a competitive market. Very competitive. We compete with Singapore, Hong Kong, Jersey, Guernsey, Cayman, all of those countries, Seychelles, Mauritius, all of them are doing these things. We've always been in the top 5. Top 5 in terms of creating new products. Because that's where we're at right now. We need to figure out how to diversify what we have, make it more attractive, bring more people to the Bahamas. And at the same time, we have to launch new products because we're looking at a new generation. So that's trusts, which we did before. That's PTCs. That's an authorized purpose trust, which could be used for charitable or non-charitable or philanthropic purposes. And remember, there are no beneficiaries. All you have is authorized applicants. So let's go to the next one. Charitable trust. We touch on this when we did trust. We know that for a trust to be charitable, there are 4 criteria. It can only be charitable if it's for the advancement of education, for the relief of poverty, for the advancement of religion, or any other purpose that is beneficial to the community. So the Attorney General acts for and on behalf of Bahamian Charitable Trusts, and they represent the beneficial interests of whomever that charity is designated for. So the Attorney General has the legal duty to inform the court if a trustee of a charitable trust breaches their fiduciary duties to the trust. So that's a charitable trust. So now let's look at a foundation. So a foundation is another product that we offer under the Foundations Act 2004. And a foundation is a product that we adopted from the civil jurisdiction. So if you follow what goes on in the trust world here in the Bahamas, you will see that the persons that offer trust services are normally in South America, in particular Brazil.
Miss Archer,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. You just giving us a summary because I don't see foundations in our book.
That's additional information.
I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, I missed the first part.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last
Thank
class,
you.
I said I was going to add on the foundations and the B.
Foundation.
Yeah.
And the B companies. Yes, you did say that.
Yes. And I'm going to send
Yeah.
it to you right after class.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Along with our 2 questions.
Along with the 2 questions, I'll tell you, but remind me, Elkin, at the end. I'll give you an idea what it's about.
Definitely
Okay,
will.
thank you.
Okay. So the foundation is a hybrid between a trust and a company. So put that in your mind. So it's a tool for tax mitigation, succession, and asset protection. So you see, it's a little bit different. So I want you for this exam, you have to know the difference between the 3 or 4. How much is 5 now? You have the difference between a trust, a PTC, an authorized purpose trust, a charitable trust, foundation, a B. That's 6. These are all products that are used in structuring for wealth management.
And how many we have to remember for the exam?
I don't know. I haven't written it yet.
But she said it know the difference, so we can have to know all 6.
That's right. So a foundation is defined in the Act, and it is established by a charter. How do you establish a trust? How is a trust established? By a charter?
By what charter?
I'm asking you, how do you establish a trust?
Oh, Noble Express Trust, you could just walk in and express your intention to create a trust.
Right. And so then they create what? A trust deed.
Mm-hmm. A
Right.
trust deed
Okay.
/ trust settlement.
On a foundation, you have a charter.
Hmm.
It's a different instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to know the difference between the instruments. Because when you begin to work in the trust and you have a structure, all of the little boxes that's on that chart or all the documents that you see are different documents.
Do they serve similar purposes? Like how with an express trust you have the trust instrument and the charter is it similar or no? Or is it because the foundation is a hybrid that makes the charter different?
Yes.
Okay. So it seems as though I answered my own question after asking it.
Mhm. So the assets are transferred to the foundation by the founder. And the foundation manages the assets and invests them according to the objects or the purpose that has been specified in the charter by the founder. Got that? So the same way where the settlor gives his assets to the trustee, and the trustee takes the legal interest, the beneficiaries take the equitable interest. In a foundation, the assets are transferred to the foundation, and then the foundation manages the assets and invests them. That's why it's saying that it is a hybrid between the trust and a company. So the different ways you could use a foundation. You could use it to hold private assets for the benefit of identified persons. You could use it to engage in commercial activities, buying and selling of assets. You could use it for familial wealth, as wealth management. Or you could use it as a part of a commercial structure. So how do you form a foundation? Of course, you need a foundation charter, or you could have a duly executed will. Remember in a trust, you could create a trust within a will. Registration with the Registrar General, and of course, you have to have a certificate of registration. So once you have these three things, a foundation is established. So under the Act, the foundation charter includes the name of the foundation. It could be in English or it could be in a foreign language. That reminds you of what? A company. The foundation cannot have the word limited in its name. The charter must also have the name and address of the founder, the number and place of the registration if it is a company, if the founder is a company, the purpose and object of the foundation, the endowment of assets to be the initial assets of the foundation, the designation of the beneficiary or the identification of a body by which the beneficiary can be ascertained. It must have a statement as to whether the foundation was established for an indefinite period or for a definite period. The name and address in the Bahamas of the secretary to the foundation, and the address of the registered office in the Bahamas. A statement has been made that the foundation's total assets are not less than $10,000 or its equivalent in another currency. It must have the signature of the founder in the presence of a notary public. So the foundation charter may also include a statement that the rights and powers are reserved to the founder, similar to the reservation of powers permitted for Bahamian trusts. And these powers might allow him to appoint and remove officers or the foundation council members, or he could veto distributions of the foundation's assets. The foundation articles are the regulations and bylaws of the foundation are optional. So if the foundation chooses to have articles, they can provide in the article the distribution of assets made, the identification of any initial beneficiaries, the identification of any remaining beneficiary upon the winding up of the foundation, and just the regular regulation of any governing body. So every foundation in the Bahamas must be registered with the Registrar of Foundations and must have an initial endowment of assets valued at least $10,000. So the following documents must be submitted with the application for registration and fees for registration of the foundation. So that means it must have a statement signed by the secretary or attorney, and in that statement they would state the foundation name, the date of the charter, its purpose, the name and address of the founder, the secretary, the foundation council, and the registered office. They would give a statement that the assets are not less than $10,000. They would give the name and address of the first officers of the foundation, a statutory declaration by the secretary or the assistant attorney of compliance with the act, and that there is no statutory or legal requirements that the charter and articles be filed with the registrar. So the foundation has officers. So the founders must appoint at least one person, and that person could be a natural person or a legal person, to be an officer of the foundation, and that's prior to registration. In the absence of a foundation council, the officers are the governing body of the foundation. The foundation also has a secretary, and that secretary, listen good, that secretary can be a licensed financial corporate service provider, or that secretary could be a trust company. So the foundation council may consist of 2 or more natural persons, or it could be a legal person, or it could be a legal and a natural person. The foundation council has rights. They can access the books and records of the foundation. They could be informed of meetings. They could attend and be heard but not vote at meetings. They could be included in the foundation business documents. They could be informed of any delegation of powers. So you could see when you look at the foundation, it is similar to a trust and it is similar to a company. And so what the Bahamas did was to just put them together. The foundation is required to hold at least one meeting of the officers each year. That's the annual meeting. And the founder and members of the council and any other supervisory person must be notified of the annual meeting. Any beneficiary who has an interest in all or some of the foundation assets must be notified in writing by the officer of his interest and is entitled to receive information on request from the foundation. What that sounds like to you? Similar to the trust, right?
Yes, it sounds similar to
Yes.
the trust.
Financial records. There is a statutory and legal obligation on the officers of a foundation to keep and maintain proper books of accounts. That sound familiar to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes, that is what a trust with the trust, yes, the trust administrator has to keep proper record keeping and maintain the information up to 5 years or they can be fined.
Or the statute is gonna make it very depending on the question for us to determine the difference it's gonna be.
And that's why when you all come as a group, each person take one product, and then you all put it together.
Okay, sounds like a great idea. Y'all hear that?
Also, you have to look for keywords and her verbiage on the exam.
I
What
know,
key
but you know how Ms. Archer go with her questions, keywords. She can make it.
I'm I'm trying to give some type of ray of hope right now.
What you
No,
mean?
we could all like she said to split it up and each of us focus on one and then just present it so we all have everybody will have a good understanding of one and we'll all have a better understanding based on everybody else's research.
Exactly.
I
And it's
agree
easy.
with that.
Yes. Okay, so the B, the Bahamas executive entity, is an entity without beneficial owners. It's a legal entity and it performs executive functions: administrative, supervisory, fiduciary, and office holding nature. So it's an option to ensure that procedures and mechanisms are put in place for effective administration of wealth preservation structures. To minimize family conflicts, trusted family members, advisors, or friends can be involved in the administration and management of high net worth individuals who would discharge their functions in accordance with the charter or the articles of the B. So the B can hold the shares of a PTC, removing the need for a purpose trust and institutional trustee, and it reduces the overall cost of the wealth management structure. So, what's the features of this B? The B has a distinctive feature, and that feature makes it attractive, an attractive corporate vehicle for executive functions involving trusts and other entities which require an administrative or executive function. So, the B, limited liability. Sounds like a company, right? Similar to a foundation. It has no shareholders. It doesn't require any beneficiaries, enforcers, or members, as it has a separate legal existence. It has no ownership interest. Is able to contract with third parties. It can sue and be sued in its own name. It has no minimum capital and is only required to maintain assets necessary to carry out executive functions. It can only perform executive functions in relation to entities, trusts, and other corporate vehicles regulated by the laws of the Bahamas. It can hold shares, securities, or ownership interests in a legal entity whose business is to carry out executive entity functions. Similar to the provisions in the Trust Choice of Governing Law Act with respect to the non-recognition and enforcement of forced heirship claims. The B is not subject to any business license fees unless carrying on business in the Bahamas. There's no income tax, no capital gains tax, no or distribution accruing to or derived from the B, or in connection with any transaction to which the B is a party. Privacy and continuity of ownership, they've limited or perpetual existence, cost effective, easy to operate, and no requirements for annual filings at the registry. So the B can be a part of a private wealth management or corporate structure as it provides enhanced fiduciary and governance safeguards and structural continuity while reducing individual liability and protecting individual entities. So, how do you establish a B? You need a charter to which the founder subscribes. You register with the Registrar General and then you get a certificate of registration. So, the formation and maintenance of a B. Before a B is registered, the founder must appoint an executive agent who must either be licensed under the Financial Corporate Service Provider Act or by himself or his agent sign and deliver to the founder or the B a consent in writing as the executive agent. There must be a charter. The charter must be executed in English by the founder in the presence of the agent or another witness. And the charter must state the name of the B, the name and address of the founder, the purpose, that the B is an executive entity, the number and description of the officers, and where there are no officer or provision for the appointment of a consul, the time period for which the B is established, the terms upon which the B shall be revoked or wound up, the name and address of the agent in the Bahamas, and of course, the name and address of the registered agent in the Bahamas of the B. So, the registration of a B, you need a statement of declaration. It must be signed by the attorney. You have to have the name of the B, the date of the charter, the purpose of the B, a statement that the B is an executive entity, the date of the articles. The articles may be delivered to the registrar and they could retain it. The officers of a B can be a person or a company. That person or company can't be bankrupt. They can't be mentally incapacitated, and they can't be a convicted criminal. So the duties of the officer is to administer the B in accordance with the purpose for which it was established, as indicated in the charter, the articles, and of course in accordance with Executive Entities Act. In carrying out his duties, the officer must act honestly in good faith in the best interest of the B and exercise the care, diligence, and skill that a reasonably prudent person would exercise in comparable circumstances. And the officer cannot delegate his duties unless it is authorized in the charter or the articles. And officers and consul members cannot carry out each other's duties or functions. And there's also a secretary, which is optional. The executive entity consul is responsible for the supervision of the administration of the B by the officers and ensuring compliance with the instructions of the consul. The consul has the power to access the books, records, and accounts of the B. Doesn't sound like the foundation, right?
Yes, it does. It also sounds like a trust.
Yes. You see how close they are, but everything turns on the purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose. So the validity of any act by the B or disposition of assets to or by the B cannot be challenged on the grounds that the B did not have the requisite capacity to do so. However, a founder, officer, or consul member may bring proceedings against the B to prevent an act or disposition on the basis of lack of capacity. A B is required to hold one annual meeting of the officers, and written notice of 7 days must be given to all officers and minutes must be kept. A seal is not required. However, if there is a seal, it should be affixed in the presence of and witnessed by an officer or consul member of the B. They can also get a certificate of good standing. So each officer, consul member, or agent shall be indemnified against all expenses and liabilities incurred in connection with carrying out their duties, subject to their acting honestly and in good faith with a view to the best interest of a B. Sounds familiar, right? Because the trustee has an indemnification. Yes.
Yeah.
So where the registrar has reasonable cause to believe that the B no longer satisfied the requirements set out in the legislation, the registrar shall serve on the B a notice that the name of the B may be removed from the register. And the B can respond to the notice, failing which the registrar will remove the name of the B from the register. And of course, the B can be restored according to the legislation. What that sounds like to you? Company now, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now you see how they've taken all of these products, all within this structure, all within this whole market in the financial industry, and propelled it whereby they try to provide products and services to keep the Bahamas within that top 5 circle. So all of these are items that are used. Now, when I woke up this morning, a revelation came to me. And I said, you know what? This group is very sharp. So, where's my piece of paper? As I always have many pieces of paper.
I don't know why that's making me nervous, Miss Archer, but okay.
Hold on. First,
Here we go.
now, listen carefully. I just finished going over 6 products, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I said one of the main pushes that we've been trying to do is to bring clients here who are not just looking to establish a trust for generational wealth just for their family, but also trying to push the purpose trust where a person can use it for charitable purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when you talk about charitable purposes, a lot of very, very, very wealthy people have philanthropic purposes for their money.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking I would pose to you all 10 questions that are going to be on the final exam as a bonus. I'm not giving you the answers.
You say
Number
10?
10 questions.
Okay, hold on. Let me open a Word document.
Oh,
Are you sending this to us?
no, I'm not sending it. I just said it's on the final exam. I'm not sending it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it would be in the
Okay.
final. Bonus questions. Wow.
And then you all have sufficient time to put your heads together and come up with your answers.
Got you. Okay.
One, what is the purpose of philanthropy? And remember, your answers is not an answer just from the dictionary for these questions. These are being pulled from your trust class, the company law class, put them together. What is the purpose of philanthropy? What are the advantages of philanthropy? Why choose the Bahamas to establish a philanthropic purpose?
Mrs. Archer, can you kindly repeat that again? You were muffled
Number
for the
3,
for question number 3. Can you kindly repeat? Yes, ma'am.
why choose the
Thank
Bahamas?
you.
Why choose the Bahamas for a philanthropic purpose? Four, why was the Purpose Trust Act legislated? Why was the Purpose Trust Act trust? Why was the Purpose Trust Act legislated? 5, name one privilege enjoyed. Name one privilege enjoyed by a trust established under the Purpose Trust Act. Six, what are the majority of reasons trusts are established in the Bahamas? 7. What is the difference between an ordinary trust and a charitable trust? Explain. Eight. What issues may arise? What issues may arise regarding the distribution of assets within the trust? What issues may arise regarding the distribution of assets within a trust? 9. How does a trustee satisfy himself? How does a trustee satisfy himself on the legitimacy of a charity? Ten. Let me see. What are the responsibilities of the trustee? What are the responsibilities of the trustee in managing the trust assets? And just for those who may think they're not doing well, who controls the assets of the foundation? Easy peasy Japanesey. Elkin can answer all of those on the first go.
In spirit. In
In
spirit.
spirit. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Mrs. Archer, that's 3 hours right there for the exam.
What, the bonus?
Yeah.
No, man. Don't go. Don't try.
All right, pass.
How much is the bonus worth?
10
She didn't say.
points. It's
Oh,
10
10
points.
points.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you put your head together, you all should be able to put your answers together.
So we're just, Mrs. Archer, so we're
Miss
just
Archer.
answering very short answers, nothing long and drawn out because with 10 questions,
In bullet
It's
points.
11 questions. It's 11 questions, though.
Yeah, just some people may not feel comfortable with one, may have forgotten something, so I just throw another one in.
Okay.
This is no long paragraphs. You could do this in bullet points.
Ain't too bad.
No,
Understood.
it's just putting everything together, and I want to see how you apply it. It's all about application. It's not definition.
Got it.
Okay. Now let's move on. Since they're really starting to panic, don't listen to mine. Elkin,
I didn't say anything was actual.
I know you didn't say nothing because you're trying to decipher what my question means. It means what it says.
Okay.
Now,
Notice I'm being quiet.
who's in front of a computer? There is a Bahamian case.
I am.
There's a Bahamian case on charitable trust. It's put in Attorney General and Royal Trust Company Limited, Royal Trust CO, full stop Limited,
Okay.
and others, ETAL,
Okay.
Court of Appeal, 1982. See if you find it. It may be an article.
Can you say the name again, Miss Archer?
Attorney General and Royal Trust Company Limited et al. I see a couple things coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I ain't seen none that have oh, hold on, let me see. This is a President Charitable Trust case based on money left by, let's see. It says President Charitable Trust case based on money left by wealthy foreigner for the education of whites only in the Bahamas. Is that one?
That's it. That's it.
Okay. It has 1953, 1970, 1983, 1986.
Yeah. So let me see if I could give you a little synopsis of this money. But I want you now, since you found that, see if you could find the actual case, which you could read, that went to the Privy Council.
Okay, I think, let me see, this website is called Bahamianology, where I found this.
Okay, yeah, that's it. So do you
Okay.
do you have it where you can see the actual Privy Council
Yeah,
decision?
it looked like let me see, hold on. The Court of Appeal of the Bahamas,
From
judgment of the
at
Lords
the
of the
top,
Committee.
from Court of Appeal of the Bahamas, judgment of the Lords of the Judicial Committee of the Privy
Yeah,
Council.
of
Okay.
the Privy Council delivered the 23rd of June,
Yes.
1986.
So put that in the
Okay.
chat to everybody to read.
Okay. I'll put the link to the page because they have it scanned. Like, I think they found the actual thing and scanned it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the leading Bahamian case on a charitable trust. Hold on, I read the little snippet. I know y'all always like the gossipy part. So let me see if I can find that voice.
Well, the title alone is gossipy.
Yes, we
Because
do.
you made only one white educated. What a
Mhm.
time. Man.
So
Yeah.
wealthy Canadian Albert Edward Waswick, born January 25th, 1872, died at the age of 82 in Nassau on the 20th of April, 1953. Stafford Sands, the Bahamian government minister, was made trustee of a portion of the estate. The widow, Delphine Elizabeth Waswick, maiden name was Shaw, and Nee Flatten, and a Canadian asset management company called Royal Trust Company were also trustees. Waswick's last will and testament was executed on the 30th of April, 1951. Subsequent to this, he made 3 amending codicils to his 1951 last will and testament. So codicil number 1 was amended on the 13th of April, 1951. His second codicil was done on the 16th of March, 1951. And his third was done on the 8th of April, 1953. So the last 2 codicils were signed less than 30 days before he died. Waswick left substantial monies to his wife for her lifetime. So Delphine, the wife, quickly remarried a year after her husband's death to a man many considered made a living by marrying wealthy women. This would be her third marriage. Delphine Waswick became the 4th wife of Dwight C. Paul from Palm Beach. In 1968, the deaths of both Dwight C. Paul and Delphine Elizabeth Waswick Paul. Dwight Paul died on the 4th of February, 1968, and Delphine died on the 4th of April, 1968. So in 1970, the Trust for Education of White Bahamians challenged based on wording. In 1970, the surviving representative of Warwick's wife, Delphine, had come to Nassau to challenge the provision of the Albert Waswick's will, which related to the education and welfare of Bahamian children. In truth, the trust established for the education of one or more, quote, white Bahamian children only. Stafford Sands, trustee of the Testamentary Education Fund, is nowhere to be found. Sarah left the Bahamas for Europe in 1967. So the question comes on as to whether or not they challenge the terms of the trust relating to the education and welfare of one or more white Bahamian children. So, what was being challenged in 1970 was the wording of one word in the third codicil, the word which ignited all the controversy some 17 years after the principals involved had died, was the word welfare. The court was informed that this was the first time that a court in the Bahamas had to determine what is a charitable trust according to the laws of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So that's what this case is about. So the word welfare ignited this fight over the residue of Mr. Albert's estate. How much you think his estate valued?
Billion.
It sounds like millions and
Thousands.
Elkin, would you call it thousands?
Maybe millions.
6 million.
$6 million. I mean,
That was 6 million in the 1970s.
that's true. That's different. Okay.
So Wasbeck made provision in his will for the education and, quote, welfare of Bahamian children. Only white children, it appears. So Albert E. Wasbeck left his wife, Delphine Wasbeck, Bahamian lawyer and politician, to Stafford Sands and the Royal Trust Company as trustees of his estate. The wording of a provision in the will was first challenged in 1970, and then some 17 years later after it was made. The case would then make 16 years to finally be resolved. That's how long it took. In the end, the final judgment of the Privy Council created unequivocal new law, which established what can and cannot be considered a charitable trust in the Bahamas. So, the testamentary trust provisions questioned as originally written in will of Albert Edward Wasbeck, 1953, Clause 15H said, annuities for the support of white women of good character and respectability, and in reduced circumstances, resident in New Providence. I, the sum of £1,000 to be used by the trustees for the purposes of the St. Andrew's Society in the Bahamas. And then J, the income from investment of trust monies to be used by the trustees in their absolute discretion for the education and maintenance of one or more white Bahamian-born British subjects of either sex in any school and or universities in the British Empire or the United States. And K, the income from investments of trust monies to be used by the trustees in their absolute discretion to educate and maintain one or more Bahamian-born British subjects of either sex as doctors of medicine, doctors of dental surgery, and or trained nurses in any school or schools and or universities in the British Empire or the United States of America. And L, the income from investments of trust monies to be used by the trustees in their absolute discretion for the maintenance, education, benefit, and support within the colony of white Bahamian-born British subjects of either sex between the ages of 6 years and 18 years. And M, the sum of £2,000 to be used in improving the quarters and in providing comfort for the lepers under the care of the Bahamian government. So those were the provisions, the charitable provisions that he had stated in his wills and his codicils. So now y'all have very nice readings for this weekend. What actually is a charitable trust? His wife was a charming socialite. The man that she married after her husband's death, Mr. Paul, he was called a man about town. I'm reading it from the newspaper.
I like the term though.
Palm Beaches, man about town. Commander Dwight C. Paul is now a man about the house. The courtly commander and Mrs. Delphine Waswick, Nassau socialite heiress, were married quietly this week in their palatial island home. The widow of Albert E. Waswick, internationally famous engineer, industrialist, and financier. The charming and hospitable chatelaine of the ladies of the Indies Resort has been a resident of Nassau for the past 10 years. With her late husband, Mrs. Waswick was well known in England and Palm Beach, where they had two homes. One was next to Buckingham Palace, was bombed badly during the war. It was called Lake Ridge. An oceanfront PB estate was loaned by them to the Duke and Duchess of Windsor and is now owned by the Maharaj of Baroda. And it was there Barbara Hutton and her Ruby spent their brief honeymoon. A much beribboned veteran of 2 world wars, Commander Paul also is a veteran of many seasons at both Palm and Miami beaches. He was an early member of the Surf Club and the Committee of 100, president of the Cambridge Club, which took his membership from the Surf Bath and Indian Creek clubs. He's a resident of Florida from 1929. He was a Hibiscus Islander from 1939. He's called Palm Beach his headquarters. He's a yachtsman. Commander Paul also holds an avid interest in show horses and backgammon, for which he has gained much recognition. His mother, Mrs. Edwin Stoughton, Hoagland, has lived at Villa Biscan in Palm Beach since 1949. When not traveling, Commander and the new Mrs. Paul will make their home at La Playa, her ocean front Nassau mansion. So now you see, she wants that money designated to those little white people in the Bahamas. So it's not that long, so y'all can read it and have a discussion, and you will see how the Bahamas establish what are the criteria for a charitable trust in the Bahamas. All right, now let's go to what these 2 questions are about. Because if Elkin don't get this now, he'll die. I hear him say nothing.
I'm actually laughing right now.
All right, so I've not formulated it yet, but I know what I'm going to write. I am going to tell you, it's right here. He did the chapter last week on special assets. And when you come to trust and special assets, there are things that needs to be done. And you know that when persons are acquiring these special assets, there's a lot involved, not just in maintaining those assets, but also before those assets are placed into the trust. So I'm going to give you a question on special assets. Then I am also going to scan to you an article. In this article, it is going to speak about the role of the protector. And in it is going to mention 1, 2, 3, maybe up to 4 cases. The article is not long. It's only 3 pages long. And I'm going to pose a question to you about removal of protectors. So those are the 2 questions right there.
Okay.
Not difficult at all. Just don't write all over the place. So for the one for the protector, if you look up the cases and you get the summary of it, it would also help you in answering the question. So
Got it.
on the role of the protector, the other one is on special assets. So that won't be too difficult, I don't think. And then I gave you the 10 bonus plus extra 1 bonus questions for the exam. So next week, Thursday, we will look at AML, and we'll look at whether there have been any changes to what's in your notes in terms of trust law. And I normally look at it from other Commonwealth jurisdictions.
So Unit 11 and 12 next week, Thursday.
Yeah. And then Saturday, we'll just do the review for the final exam so y'all could get ready.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a lot of meat to digest, but
But y'all knew this was coming. So for the 2 weeks before I came, you all should have started putting your notes together.
point taken.
Yeah. Y'all should have been putting your heads together to see, okay, this is this is and this and this is that and this is that, and that's all I can tell you. But
And therefore these 2 questions will now be scotch off from the in-class exam,
yes.
in-person exam.
Yes.
And we take that time to answer the 10 bonus questions.
Well, that's what I say. Y'all need to put your heads together now and
We get it together.
together.
Mrs. Archer,
Mhm.
if these two questions, special assets and the protector will be taken off the exam, how many more questions we will have to then answer besides the bonus question, please?
It depends. I haven't written it yet. Would you all
Okay.
20-point questions or 10-point? If it's 10-point questions, then you got to answer 8.
Understood. Mhm.
So it's up to
You
you.
had 8. You had 8 for the first.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was 2.
Yeah.
What Ms. Archer did, she gave us 2 mandatory and then 6 optional. So we can do that
Right.
again.
Yeah, that was fine.
Okay. All right.
That format.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll give you 2 mandatory and then you could choose 6. Or just give you 6. So you don't have to be fiddling all over the place. That down.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I would like that as well.
Yeah, just stay. So for the review, I just state what's on the exam. That's it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Because people like Elkin just go all about picking all kind of things.
But if you don't mind, Mrs. Archer, can you see if you can keep trust accounting off the exam, please?
Why?
That may be an optional question.
That's a very challenging
You
topic
don't
for
have to
me.
do that.
That may be an
Sorry?
optional question, Saniqua.
Oh, okay, because I thought the questions that Mrs. Archer was going to give in the exam were all mandatory.
No.
No.
2 will be mandatory and 6 will be optional. And then you will have your bonus questions.
Okay, but can you kindly make the accounting question optional, where we can just leave out that one? Where I know for me, I only can speak for myself.
I think that's what she
Thank
was saying,
you.
though.
I don't ask for much.
Yeah.
I don't ask for much. Okay, thank you.
Boy, Miss Archer, reading this article, Mrs. Warwick was 27 years younger than her first
What
husband.
would you thought? What would you thought if she lived that long?
I,
She was a socialite.
I say, well, what a time. Okay.
I just
You-
finished telling you what they call her husband. He went
Yeah,
with good
man
things.
about the town.
That's right. He died just before her. She died right after. They must be poisoning each other.
Yeah, that's suspicious. That's very suspicious. But anyway, I'll finish reading. It's very interesting.
Okay, Bohemianology have the little thing that I was reading to you just now. The charm.
Yeah, I that's the link. That is part of the link that I had emailed to Elkin. He sent
Yeah.
it in the group already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she said it in the team, I mean in the Zoom meeting, but I know once this ends, we won't have access to it, so all I just did was copy it and put it in the WhatsApp group chat.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you, Mr. Thatcher.
It is, and then
So-
look at my email, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
Thank
All
thank
you.
you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Have a good week. Y'all can
Y'all
go
as
there.
well.
Bye.
Mrs. Archer, thank you and see you next week Saturday. I'll hear your voice next week Saturday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay,
And
bye-bye.
okay,
Have a good day, everyone.
Okay. All right.
And go
Bye.
shopping. Don't stay home today. Go shopping.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All
Bye-bye,
right.
everyone.
Okay. Bye.